Alright friends, we're back at it, and today we will be discussing facility maintenance. Now of course, everyone likes a clean house. Everyone likes a clean sports facility. And when we enter a building, whether it be a home or a facility that's dirty, it has an immediate effect on us, and not in a positive way. And on top of that, when we go to a sport facility and we see an element that is broken or in need of repair, it also has a negative impact on us. One constant in life is that things break, things fall apart. Nothing lasts forever. And because of that, within the realm of facilities, facility managers need to be well educated on the different strategies and elements of facility management, and also need to have a proper plan and program that can help with minimizing the amount of facility that is subject to any sort of issue, the time it takes to repair or maintain the facility, and then of course the cost. So with today, we were going to be talking about the maintenance and repairs of a facility. A large sport facility really needs to be constantly repaired and maintained. And of course, proper maintenance is going to be a key aspect for any manager that wants to operate a safe and cleanly facility. Because remember, the number one goal of a facility manager is, of course, what? That's right, safety, the safety of its patrons. So that's why maintenance and repair is going to be very important. And that can be accomplished through a proper facility maintenance and repair audit, and a proper maintenance and repair program, and of course benchmarking or comparing with what the other facilities in the industry are doing is going to be helpful as a way to swap best practices. So we look at a facility from afar and it can look wonderful. However, if we look a little bit closer, we can see that there's cracking or stains, or that there's potential elements in conditions that could create danger. And with that danger can come liability. So that's why we need to proactively, as facility managers, get out in front of these issues to not only cut down on the potential cost, but also potential liability. So this, of course, is a facility, the historic Yale Bowl, which turned 100 in 2014. And it's hosted not only Yale, but as well the New York Giants in the past. But even though it looks impressive and pretty and historic, you can see that the cement is eroding, which can create issues. Now, the textbook starts off by talking about facility maintenance and repair programs. And this facility maintenance and repair program is really incumbent on the planning, programming, budgeting, staffing, and supervising, and then evaluating aspects of a program. And a successful program is going to have a very effective and responsive management and repair system. And it's going to incorporate elements of technology, proper best practices for management and communication and delegation. And all of these aspects are going to be helpful for lowering costs and maintaining effectiveness. In the planning and programming stage, what we have is the inventory of the facility is going to be assessed. And here, what we're really looking at is what equipment and systems currently exist, and how can it be, how the different elements within a facility can be kept operating efficiently. In the planning and programming phase, the process of looking at different facility deficiencies is going to be compared with the different standards within the industry. And so this is where a facility is going to need to develop appropriate standards and also understand what sort of warranties and and benefits the facility has as part of the production process, the building process. And the priorities must be established based on the deficiencies that have been discovered. Now, the planning process calls for 6 different scheduling categories. There's the inspection and repairs, where it's only these repairs are only done when it's necessary. Cyclical repairs, which are going to be done every so often, like replacing the roof every 20 years. Preventative maintenance, which is going to be maintaining the facility or different elements of the equipment according to those pre-established standards that were discovered or that are in line with industry best practices. So it could be things like oiling motors or doing preventative maintenance, routine maintenance pursuant to best practices or the obligations of the industry. Breakdown to maintenance is going to be when a element of the facility breaks down, maybe a broken window or something like changing a light bulb. And then housekeeping or janitorial services are more general, and that's more preventative maintenance to help with aesthetics and help with cleanliness. So when a facility is going through this planning process, it needs to really use the cost-benefit analysis to show where the most money will be saved by investing in this process. So the things like routine maintenance, janitorial services, cyclical service, these all can be done in a way that helps with making sure that large-scale major repairs, which are going to vary from facility to facility, don't occur at a time that is too costly for a facility or inopportune. The next process is going to be the budgeting process. And again, this is about assessing what the facility can really afford. The overall cost of ownership is going to begin with this facility assessment. And it's going to examine the plant and all of the buildings that are in this facility or the components, and assess the building, each of the facility's condition, its collective condition, and take a look at the different benchmarks. That's going to be comparing the facility and its elements to the other facilities in the industry. These budgeting also should factor in not just one-time costs like the installation of a new floor or a new HVAC system, but also the life cycle costs, such as the cost of maintaining that component. So $3,000 in addition to a new floor that might cost $25,000, it could also cost $3,000 each year with the maintenance. And it could also be that a component could cost less if more upfront costs occur for better materials or stain-resistant materials or materials that are going to show less wear and tear. So really, within the budgeting process, the maintenance and requirement work is really going to be developed through a work plan, which is going to be part of that assessment. And comparing budgets is going to be not just with the facility's prior budgets itself, but all the other budgets within the market through benchmark analysis. Perhaps the facility can also identify ways to eliminate overspending on M&R, so becoming more effective. So again, it goes back to that return on investment, that ROI, and that can be accomplished by spending smarter and also making sure that the facility is working in a way that maximizes the inherent benefits and utility that it might have. Next would be staffing. So staffing is really just trying to develop a model, a horizontal and vertical model for the organization from a maintenance and repair standpoint. And staffing is really about having the right types of people, the qualified types of people available at the right time. And this is going to be important when you're staffing your vertical or horizontal lines of maintenance and repair with the right people with the right skills. Now, of course, that really comes down to making sure that your people have the right technical competencies. So this gets back to working with HR so that those with the correct skills can be hired. On top of things, a facility might also want to experiment with outsourcing, because outsourcing, as we recall from prior chapters, can help with limiting the cost of not having to hire employees and get around potential higher costs of unionization. But there's also drawbacks to outsourcing because on the aggregate it could be more expensive depending on how often these individuals are being used. These outsourcing individuals would be using them as independent contractors, and that's again a double-edged sword. So that is something that a facility might want to consider. Supervising is making sure that the correct amount of monitoring and leadership is in place for the execution of the planning and budgeting process from a managerial standpoint. So again, in supervising, a facility manager needs to make sure that your staff have the requisite tools in place for those employees or independent contractors to be successful. So this is going to be accomplished not just by having the right tools, but also the correct amount of financing and information system and other aspects so that your employees or contractors will be empowered to adequately execute their responsibilities. We also have evaluation, and that's going to be using the system, the maintenance and repair system that's been put in place to evaluate the effectiveness of the repair based on looking at pre-repair and post-repair of the element to see what the quality or what the condition is. A facility manager may also compare the results based on the prior data. And of course, also do benchmarking and look at the historic performance. So those are some aspects. This is really going to be part of the controlling process. And a successful controlling process is going to be facilitated by making sure that the right workers are chosen with the right skills. And then that can help with making sure that a project comes in under budget and on time, which would produce a budgetary windfall for that facility, potentially unveiling some additional funds. Now, once that happens, it's also important to discuss a maintenance audit. And a maintenance audit is really just providing the framework and the discipline to review, analyze, and recommend performance-related improvements for a facility in a more systematic basis. And in this maintenance audit, what we're really looking at is the process of establishing priorities, establishing an audit schedule, organizing and defining the audit, and selecting an audit team. So when you're establishing priorities, that's really asking whether or not certain systems need to be analyzed. And if so, senior management needs to establish the priorities that are more important for future audit rather than things that are less important. Once these priorities are established, then there would be a scheduling, and this is going to be a time frame that's established to determine whether the maintenance will be examined on a monthly basis, daily basis, annual basis, or some other basis. So it's important to show to determine the basis, and then that will dictate what types of resources are going to be necessary. Once the priorities and schedule are established, the audit must be organized and defined, and that's really going to be a proposed statement of scope that must be developed. And through that, it's going to be organizing and inquiring about the required data and about which units will be affected or which managers or employees must be clued into the scope. Then an audit team must be selected, and in the audit team, that's really selecting those who will be affected by the process, and therefore, and also that need to have input and be involved in that process. So having the right people at the right time be involved. Then the audit must be performed, and that's really just developing the plan and the parameters. Once the audit is performed, it's going to hopefully be done in a professional, workmanlike manner. And the report after the audit's been done will detail the highlights of the findings, and action will be taken that will analyze the different policies and procedures that were used as part of that audit. And one of the critical points is for management to allocate funds to accomplish the desired results. And finally, a follow-up is taken, which is really asking whether or not this process was successful. In addition to the audit process, the elements of the maintenance audit are organization, workload identification, work plan, work accomplishment, and appraisal. And with organization, you're really asking as a manager what policies, procedures, personnel, and organizational structure are used in implementing maintenance goals and objectives. For workload identification, the question is, what is the equipment's general condition? For work plan, we're asking what priority is given to which project. There could be multiple projects, and that's important. For a work plan, what is the priority given to, for a work plan, we've just discussed that. For a work accomplishment, we're asking, have all the necessary supplies and parts been available for the required maintenance work? And an appraisal is a management information system in place. As we kind of draw closer to the end of this chapter, we are introduced to the actual maintenance department. And the maintenance department is focused on the maintenance and repair planning process. And it can fall into 7 different areas. One is inspect and repair only when necessary, absolutely necessary. Cyclical repairs, that's the periodic maintenance, such as replacing the roof every 20 years. There's also that preventative maintenance, which is going to be maintaining the equipment or facility according to those pre-established standards that we talked about. Routine maintenance, day-to-day work. Janitorial care is more about cleanliness and making sure that the facility is supplied with the necessary materials, such as toilet paper. That's going to go towards making sure that the facility is pleasing and that people are not turned off by a messy or dirty area of the facility, like the restrooms. Breakdown maintenance is when something happens, like a breakdown light bulb or a broken machine. And the repair projects are going to be for other broken elements, like something on a higher scale. The textbook also mentions benchmarking, which I've said along the way. And benchmarking helps the facility determine how they are maintaining the facility as compared with other facilities, maybe help to identify best practices. In addition to the benchmarking, there's maintenance repairs can also be logged through a computerized maintenance management system, and that's going to help streamline the maintenance systems by providing critical information and providing helpful solutions regarding making systems more lessen the cost of these maintenance systems. So a example might be inputting work order printouts and maintenance history logs that usually were done by hand, but input them into the computerized maintenance management system so as to help with providing more data and the ability to better analyze different best practices or work practices. So as a summary here, a facility needs to have a policy and procedure for maintenance and repair in order to run effectively. And that policy and procedure is going to be done through this maintenance and repair program process that we talked about. And it is going to be comprehensive. It's going to go from the planning and programming to the budgeting, then staffing, supervision, evaluating, and along the way, a facility is going to incorporate maintenance audits to form best practices to keep the facility's maintenance and repair running like a finely tuned and well-oiled machine. Because we know that if a facility has an element that breaks down, that's going to be money out of the pocket of the facility. And if a facility has a cleanliness issue, not only could that be aesthetically displeasing to the customer, but it could also be a violation of cleanliness or of local, state, and federal law, which could create liability, or perhaps create liability from a safety standpoint. So a facility manager needs to incorporate best practices and develop these maintenance audits and use the CMMS as part of its process with the dedicated maintenance department to develop this plan, its different audit procedures, and make sure that strategies are implemented to ensure the facility is effective, it's saving money, and it is exceeding the expectations of customers. Hopefully this was a helpful unit, and I look forward to continuing the conversation in the classroom. Thank you.